If you want to learn how to play modern and UK jazz drumming, then you're in the right place. My name's Alex and that's exactly what I teach on this channel. And today we're going to be breaking down 3 arrangements of classic tunes but played by modern and UK jazz bands so that we can pull out some of the phrasing that the drummer is using, and importantly, you can start to apply it in your own playing and sound like a beast. We're going to get started with this Robert Glasper arrangement of Smells Like Teen Spirit with Mark Colenburg on drums. Yes mate, what an arrangement. And by the way, you can download all of the notation from today's video for free by hitting the link in the video description. You'll also find a link to the Drum Hub membership where you'll find video lessons, courses, masterclasses, notations, backing tracks, all with a heavy focus on modern jazz concepts. The last lesson I uploaded is all about how to play wonky hip-hop, neo-soul and modern jazz beats. Basically think about Jay Dilla or Questlove or Chris Dave. And the next video going up is all about how to play modern jazz 30-second note grooves. So you can think about drummers like JD Beck and Lewis Cole. So by the time you're watching this video, that'll most likely already be out. But either way, the notation for this video is totally free, so you can grab that from down below. So if we have a look at the groove that Mark Colenburg is playing, it's essentially a one-handed 16th note groove with your right stick up on the ride cymbal, snare drum accent on 2 and 4 for your backbeat, and overall you're just going to play the kick pattern 1, 2, 3 and 4. Boom, ga, boom, boom, ga. But where this groove really gets interesting is what he's doing with his left hand. So whereas a lot of the time people would play their left hand on the snare drum and then add in all the embellishments and the ghost notes also on the snare, in this track Mark Colenburg is moving those embellishments up to the hi-hat, which gives you a really distinctive sound. You can definitely tell that he's super into Jay Dilla. So the rhythm being played by the left hand is 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and 4 and a. Most of the notes are played up on the hi-hat, and then you bring your left stick down to the snare drum on 2 and 4. And importantly, you want to open the hi-hat on the and of beat 3. Now this really helps to thicken up the overall sound of the groove. So if we play it all together, it would sound like this. Which is honestly not something that I ever usually do, or particularly even think of doing. If I was going to go and play on the ride cymbal and thicken up the sound of my backbeat, most of the time I'd just start to bring in my left foot and play on either 8th notes or quarter notes or whatever sounds best for the track. Actually, moving your left hand up to the hi-hat gives you loads of different options. It sounds different from just using your left foot, and then you can also start to add in combinations of closed hi-hats and open hi-hats to create even more variation in your grooves. So then to make this phrasing your own, what I'd recommend having a go at is playing a one-handed 16th note groove with your right hand up on the ride cymbal, and whatever ghost notes and embellishments you normally play on the snare drum, which might include 16th notes, 32nd notes, single strokes and double strokes, instead move them up to the hi-hat and see what you can come up with. And then once you're comfortable exploring this in a 16th note setting, you could also try out the same concept but working with different subdivisions, whether that's 8th notes or triplets or whatever grooves you've already got down. You could also be playing combinations of notes up on the hi-hat and ghost notes on the snare so that you have an even deeper sound palette to pull from. This is a really nice way of adding texture into your grooves, and it has the potential to get techie, but to be honest, not quite as techie as the next track we're going to look at, which is an arrangement of Aphex Twin Flynn by the Bad Plus with Dave King on drums. Such a fun groove to play, mate, and again you can grab the notation for free by following the link in the video description. So of course this groove is heavily improvised, but there's a couple of things that really stood out to me that you could then start to implement in your own playing. The first is the linear feel of a lot of the grooves, so not playing 2 parts of the kit at the same time. If we took this first 2 bars and played 8th notes on the hi-hat all the way through, it would sound like this. But instead, what Dave King does is he separates all the different parts of the kit without having that constant of the hi-hat over the top. This creates a more interesting feel in my opinion, and definitely a feel that's closer linked to the original by Aphex Twin. And then the second thing, the thing that really stood out to me the most, is the buzz strokes, man. We gotta talk about the buzz strokes. I don't think I've ever played a buzz stroke in quite the way that Dave King does in this track. So often when you're learning buzz strokes, the focus is on getting one clean, consistent sound that almost sounds like an S. But in this track, Dave King is using buzz strokes to recreate that glitch effect that Aphex Twin is so known for. And one thing that makes it sound so distinctive is the way that he changes subdivision in the middle of a buzz stroke. So it really shifts the feel of the groove you're playing. So if we have a look at this bar here, you can see we've got a buzz stroke that lasts for an 8th note on the downbeat of 2. And then we go into 16th note buzzes on beat 3 and 16th note triplet buzzes on beat 4. This also follows into these single strokes in 16th notes in the next bar. So altogether, this creates a wicked feel. So to make this phrasing your own, what I'd recommend is to have a go at playing buzz strokes in different combinations of subdivisions. So to start off, what we're gonna do is play a half bar buzz stroke fill. You can choose whatever groove you wanna play in the first bar and a half. I'm gonna play something loosely inspired by Flynn. And then in the second half of bar 2, we're gonna start off by playing a group of 8th note triplets into a group of 16th notes. And importantly now, we want to play them as buzz strokes. Or what if we played the 16th note rhythm 3E into a group of 16th note triplets? So in context, have a listen to the difference in feel. Or this time, we're gonna play 2 8th notes on beat 3, 3 and, into a dotted 8th note and a 16th note on beat 4, 4, As these buzz strokes are a little slower, it's gonna give you a really different feeling. And then the most important thing is to try out your own variations as well and play whatever rhythms you're confident to play in single strokes, but play them as buzz strokes instead. So much fun, mate, and endless variations to explore. And speaking of endless variations, check out Eddie Hick's drumming on the Ashley Henry version of Solange, Cranes in the Sky. This one is a bit of a beast, mate, so let's have a look at the notation. Now for me, the main thing that stood out about this groove is the rhythms being played by the right hand, as they change every bar. And then the way these rhythms interchange with the rest of your limbs is really what gives this groove such a wicked feel. So to start, I'd recommend having a go at playing the kick and snare pattern from the first 2 bars I've written out, but with just playing 8th notes up on the ride cymbal. So that's already a pretty sick sounding groove. And now the next thing we're gonna do is just add in our left foot on the and of every beat. This stepped hi-hat just gives the groove a bit more momentum and it sounds wicked. So let's give it a try. So this really gives you your foundation, and then to me, the right hand almost becomes like a lead voice in the groove. So the first thing I'd actually recommend to get comfortable with improvising your right hand rhythms is to tick off a couple of the most classic ostinatos to play in modern and UK jazz. The first one is to play 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a over the top of the groove you've already got down. And then we also want to play the flip of this. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. And then once you're comfortable with both of these right hand ostinatos, I'd recommend just moving your right stick up to the bell of the ride cymbal and experimenting with playing combinations of these mixed in with eighth notes and quarter notes and any other rhythms you can hear in the moment. The important thing here is no matter what's happening with your right hand, you keep the overall feel of the groove. And of course, once you're feeling confident, you can also start to improvise with your kick and your snare drum. But the difficult thing is overall, we want to keep that same feel throughout. And then to apply these concepts into your own playing and come up with something original, what I'd recommend is to play a groove that you feel super confident with, and then to put your focus on what your right hand is doing and experiment with playing with these different combinations. Each different groove will come with its own coordination challenges, and for me, this will sometimes mean stopping and writing out some of the exercises so that I'm super confident with which limbs need to be played at the same time and which limbs go in between each other. But this is a wicked way of adding in more variation into your grooves and starting to play your right hand as more of a lead voice. Yes mate, so much fun to be had, and applying the concepts in this way is the way that you'll start to take influence from other drummers rather than actually sounding the same or ripping them off. So go nice and slow, enjoy the process and see what you can come up with, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you create. And if you got something out of this video today, I think you'll really dig this video as well, where we break down 3 modern jazz arrangements of classic bebop tunes. And again, make sure to grab the notation from down below and feel free to check out the link to the Drum Hub online membership if you'd like to learn modern and UK jazz drumming with me. There's also a 7-day free trial if you'd like a week on me. So keep killing it on the drums, and I'll catch you in the next one.